/Wake Up Call DT. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and appreciate you so much for being inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal here with you at 3501 James Street and 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, New York. They're also inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, minutes from the Carrier Dome. And of course, you can find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at the Sweetheart Corners, and their first ever drive-through location. So a big shout out to Cafe Kubal, who's warming us up on a day like today that's snowing a little bit. I love to get my chai. I get the pumpkin spice chai, the AKA holiday chai. That's my favorite. You can get any one of the coffees there. Just tried the Guatemalan a couple days ago, so make sure you come out there, get your coffee, get your chai, get whatever you need to get your Christmas gifts. I got a ton of stuff at Cafe Kubal, and I'm surprised that they had anything left after I went through there. So make sure you go out to Cafe Kubal today. A lot of great gifts. Their bags of coffee, perfect to get one for yourself, one for somebody you love. It's great. You go in there, you grab one for you, you grab one as a gift. So you keep one in the house, and then you got one for somebody else, and you can ship them and send them off to everybody. So make sure you do that, and their Christmas blend is still available. So make sure you go out and get that Christmas blend of Cafe Kubal coffee from any one of their locations, and much appreciation to each and everyone that is helping out at Cafe Kubal on that fantastic team that's led by Matt Goddard. So a lot of great stuff coming up here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I'm very happy to be here with you. We have an incredible hour number one special, and then at the end of hour number one, we'll jump into what we always do on a Wednesday, which are the ingredients to, which is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. So we'll be jumping right into that at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. But before we go there, we are going to go to a very special episode of the Dolphin Dive, and that is going to feature Ellie Sommers. Ellie Sommers comes to us from the women's swimming team at LeMoyne College, and I'm so happy to have Ellie be a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. She's a CNY native from Manlius, New York, went to Fayetteville Manlius High School, and then chose to stay in the community and head off to LeMoyne College. We have a pretty incredible connection that I didn't even know we had, and I'm going to let you see that and hear that as Ellie brings you positivity this morning, an incredible story, a story of overcoming adversity, overcoming loss, and being who you are, as well as paying it forward and going out there to help others. So Ellie's story is just incredible, and I feel very honored and privileged that I get to tell it this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a step aside for a fast break, and when we come back, Ellie's story will air right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You don't want to miss a second of this conversation with Ellie Sommers of LeMoyne College. The Dolphin Dive is right here in Dolphin Time, which is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Ellie joins us next in her feature on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. This Christmas week edition of the Dolphin Dive here with Ellie Sommers, who we're featuring from the women's swimming and diving team here at LeMoyne College for the Dolphins, and of course for SAC, which I'm very excited to talk about that side of it too, with Beretta, and myself, Dan Tortora, here with you every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call, is Dolphin Time. First and third Wednesday, AD and DT with Bob Beretta. Second and fourth Wednesday is when we do Dolphin Dive, and that's exactly what we're doing right now, is diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, and staff at LeMoyne, and we get to tell Ellie's story here today, which I'm so excited about. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, for sure.
Absolutely, and we love doing this. When you're watching on youtube.com/wakeupcalldT, on facebook.com/wakeupcalldT, as well as listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldT, and of course the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldT.com. So the LeMoyne multimedia marketing partnership that we have here allows me the opportunity to spotlight LeMoyne in a way that's never happened before, and I love the opportunity to really tell the stories. So I know before we even got started with this here today is that you have the energy.
Thank you.
You definitely have. You got the personality, the energy. We're getting ready to do this thing, and all of a sudden I see you walk through, and you're like, "Are you Mr. Tortora?" And you came over and smiled and ready to go. So, what makes you so positive?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I was blessed with that from a young age. I just love to be positive. I've always been a happy kid, but I think, throughout my life, there's definitely been some challenges and some tough circumstances that I think have forced me to kind of look at the big picture and really look at the positives and focus on those. So that for me is something I always keep in the back of my mind. And I love LeMoyne, I love being here, and I feel really grateful to be here and be a student athlete at the Heights. So I think just keeping, all the good things in mind on a daily basis and keeping the energy up helps me and helps the people around me. So I try to keep that energy where it is.
Do you ever have moments where it's hard for you to muster up that positive energy?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think a lot of people, I usually am positive, so I usually, don't have too many negative moments, but I definitely do behind closed doors, and I think sometimes people, my close friends know that, my family members know that. I think not everyone gets to see that all the time, but I definitely have, like a normal person, have those moments, or have those moments of doubt and trials, tribulations, but I think just kind of getting through those and looking at the big picture and being positive overall is something that's important to me and important to my team for sure as well.
When you have those moments, what gets you out of them? What helps you to get back to the positive side?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, just I've been trying to write things down. We talked actually last week, Coach Abatini came and spoke to our student athletes last week about just having grit and kind of pushing through some of the challenges, how we should proceed as student athletes. And I liked what he said. He said to us to write a journal of greatness, a jog. So I haven't exactly dove into mine fully yet, but I've tried to do that sporadically throughout my career as an athlete and a student and just as a person. I'll try to write down things I'm grateful for, things that make me happy, or how our day went, whether it was good, bad, ugly, anything like that. So I try to write those things down once in a while. Not every day like I should, but we're working on it. So I try to work on that. I definitely think also I love to work out, so I think practice helps me, going to practice every day. And if there was a stressful day or something happened at school, I take it out in the pool, go to practice, work hard, and it's a nice 2 hours where your mind isn't on whatever you're upset about. So I definitely think working out is kind of my outlet in that regard too. But I'm surrounded by really good people, and I'm really lucky to have great friends too. So it's really, there's not too many things that are too bad, which is good.
And Ellie, you've dealt with adversity that nobody should have to deal with, especially at the age. And we talked before we got on the air that 6 years ago your dad passed.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find a way to stay positive through that? Because it would be so easy to kind of say, why me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that no matter what the age, my grandmother lived to be almost 101, and when she passed away, to this day, I miss her every second. So
mm-hmm.
how did you find a way to take care of yourself and love yourself through that, and not wake up every day and think, my life's terrible, you know what I mean? Because you don't have your dad here.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not going to lie, it definitely was super hard, and I think especially initially, there were so many days where, I cried all the tears I had in my inside, and you cried it out, and it definitely was tough all the time, but I think you get through that, and time doesn't heal all wounds. I definitely don't think that's true, but I think it definitely gets better, and, you find ways to proceed. But I think overall, the bottom line is that I'm fortunate. I'm Catholic. I have a strong faith foundation, which I think really helped get through all of that. And then I have 2 brothers and a sister and my mom, so we're all super close. I think sometimes the hardest circumstances bring people together even more, and that definitely happened in my family. And we are super lucky to be surrounded by a really strong community, and we have friends who became family, and our family, a lot of our family is here in Syracuse, so it definitely helped to have everyone pretty nearby. So we got through it with a lot of support. FM was really good to us too, our FM community. So I think that really helped us all the way, and my dad was the most positive person I knew, and the loudest, most bubbly, obnoxious, sometimes obnoxious, but in a good way, person in the room. So I think I kind of got what he had a little bit in that sense, and I know that he would want us to move forward, and really, his goal when he was sick, and he was sick, he got sick in August and passed away in May, so it was a 9-month battle with pancreatic cancer. But he always said, I want you guys to go to your games, I want you to work hard in the classroom, go hang out with your friends. So he wanted us to be as normal as we could be throughout that process, and I think that definitely trickled into the aftermath as well. So, we do it for him and try to keep that energy in the back of our minds too.
For those that don't know, what was your dad's first name?
Tom Sommers, yeah.
So Tom is, always going to live on. What is top of mind to you when you think about your dad?
Yeah, so I definitely think He was an athlete. Actually, he played basketball at Nazareth College, and he had.
Did he play in the? Not to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Did he play in the Immaculate Conception games?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
So
I remember.
I actually broadcasted those games as the PA announcer.
Yeah.
And I remember that I did a tribute to your father.
Yes. Yep. We have
a few years ago.
A connection, big connection with IC. So my brothers and my sister and I all went up through IC K through 6th grade. So we were very connected there. We have a lot of roots.
Yeah, Mrs. Lacey.
And
father and So I remember, because I remember that after your dad had passed and moving forward with everything, to honor that, and then I did a special speaking about your dad and the fact that, getting to do those games and being around it, and so that's a very tiny world that I'm just kind of realizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he loved the dad's game. It was a good annual tradition for sure.
I see dad's game.
Yeah. They went ham. There were definitely some injuries. They were paying for it the next day, but it was fun.
Those games were sometimes, a lot of times, those games were more exciting than D1 college basketball games that I was watching.
No, they were
so tight. Nobody was ever out of it. Someone's up by like 40, and then the game's tied at the end.
That was so fun.
It was always good. So your dad's positivity, and that lives on with you, as you were talking about. And I would imagine that having been around that, and then sitting here with you, there's something about a spirit.
Yeah.
That he had a positive spirit. He touched so many lives, and I can imagine that you're doing the same thing, because we met right before we did this broadcast, and I'm already like, wow, this is somebody that, it'd be like, Ellie, I'm having a bad day. Yeah, so this is what I want you to do. I feel like you're so positive, and I trust the energy that you feel from people.
Thank you.
I think you're an incredible human being when it comes to just trying to find the good in life.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I appreciate it.
You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, thank you.
That you don't need outside sources to make you happy, which so many people need.
Right. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think, it comes from my family, my background, my community, and my dad definitely instilled that in us from a young age, and I think he loved life before he got sick, but then it's kind of like the song, once you get sick, it's like, live like you're dying. He really tried to do that in those 9 months and pack that in as much as he could. So I think we got a lot out of, as hard as it was and as tough as it was, my siblings and I learned so much just with how to cope and how to handle things when curveballs are thrown your way. And he was a basketball player by trade, but he actually was more, I think, invested later in his life in baseball. He was a huge Little League coach. He got very into Little League. So I was like the mom in the dugout with the Little League clipboard multiple days growing up with my brothers and stuff like that. But he loved baseball, and a lot of the lessons he kind of taught us were in baseball terms. So, he always said you gotta pick yourself up, and there's no crying in baseball was a classic line. Obviously, there's crying in real life, but as far as having a positive attitude, that was something that always stuck with me. And he always said to us, "You're better than that. Like, if you mess up or make an error on the field, pick yourself up in the most positive way possible." So there definitely were some funny stories at the Little League, but we learned a lot too. Yeah.
And everybody had a nickname. At the IC Dad's game, and your dad was Tom Can't Wait for Summers.
Yeah, I love that you remember that. Yeah.
Because they would hand them to me and be like, and they would give them and say, like, basically, these are the nicknames that we're going to call them, so just use these. And so I can't take credit for it, but it was Tom Can't Wait for Summers, I remember. So.
Yeah, I love that you remember that. Yeah. Yep.
So for you to be in the FM community in Manlius, what made you want to stay close and go to LeMoyne?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was a little bit indecisive, I would say, my senior year. Now it's 4 full years ago. My mom was ready to kill me during the college application process. So if she's listening, she'll get a laugh out of that. But basically, I applied to way too many schools. I applied to 11 schools, and I really wasn't sure if I wanted to swim or not. I found swimming later, actually, in my high school career. I was a basketball player and a softball player, and actually field hockey in the fall, too, during the modified years. But I broke my foot, actually, at Colgate basketball camp going into my freshman year, and ended up having surgery. It was a long recovery. So the next year I was like, I'll just swim to get back in shape for basketball and softball. I was a pitcher and a third baseman, so I was excited about that. I played travel ball all the way through, but then I ended up swimming, and the girls were awesome. When I joined as a 10th grader at FM, we were 5-5 that year. So we were decent, not great. But the next year we got an influx of some younger kids, and we had a new coach, and it just really got better very quickly, and we were section champions for 2 years, and now they're I think they're on year, I should know, like 5, I think now. They've had a 4 or 5P, so it's been a really good stretch for FM swimming. So I kind of just found it and really fell in love with the girls and the coach and the team and just the sport in general. So I stuck with that and ended up not playing basketball and softball my next 2 years, and just loved the environment and the energy with swimming at FM. So I felt very fortunate to find that, and then as I kind of went through the college process, long story short, I wasn't sure. I was getting better at swimming, but I definitely wasn't great. I made sectionals my senior year, and I was like, I could definitely see myself getting better. Like I felt like I had unfinished business, but I wasn't, the caliber that usually recruits are coming in. So I knew I had some work to do, but I ended up coming to LeMoyne for a tour and just loved the bio program. I'm a biology major, pre-med, and so I fell in love with kind of that aspect where it's a small setting, you know your professors' names and you're not just a number. And then I talked to Johanna, and it was a game changer. So Johanna's a good guy, and he was like, yeah, we can work with you. So then I just kind of stuck with it and tried out, made it, and here we are to this day. So yeah.
So hindsight 2020, the decision to come here.
Yeah.
Now a few years later, what are your thoughts?
Oh, best decision. Easily the best decision I could have made in my life. So, and I was all over the map. I was like Northeast colleges, all over the country. I didn't know. I thought I wanted a big school. Basically the exact opposite of LeMoyne. Like big school, D1 sports, and I thought I was just gonna do school and have a good time in the spirit section in the stands. But ended up falling in love with the people here, and easily the best decision I could have made, for sure.
And throughout this time, within the last few months here,
Yeah.
we have about a year. Athletics director Bob Beretta comes in.
Yes.
And then you start working with SAC.
Right.
So to let everybody know what SAC is, for those who don't know, and why you wanted to be a part of it, because now you're the president. You're
Right.
heading it up right now.
Right, that's a good question. So I actually found it. So when I was a freshman, a couple of the girls, basically how SAC works, we have 2 student athlete representatives for each team. And we vote, our primary mission, I guess you could say, affiliated with the NCAA and NE10, is that we have to vote on NCAA legislation at the beginning of the year. But we also want to have elements of SAC that are on a local level and, a tangible level right here at LeMoyne. So we had 2 representatives for each team. And when I was a freshman, I wasn't an official voting member, but some of the girls on my team, we became good friends. And they were like, oh, come along, whatever, to a meeting. So I went and just observed. I would say freshman year I was part of it, but not a voting member.
Yeah.
And then stuck with it sophomore year and ended up, I just loved how our president was. When I was a freshman, it was Maya, or freshman and sophomore, I guess I was a sophomore, but Maya Walters was our president sophomore year for me, and she did an amazing job. She was in the honors program at LeMoyne, and I also am a part of that, so I kind of knew her through that and was really interested in how she had a great leadership style. She was humble, she worked really hard, and I could tell she had big investments in SAC. So I liked what she did, and then the next year I was like, oh, what the heck, we'll just go for it and try to be president. So actually last year, my junior year, and this year, I got elected, which was fun, as president. So I've served as that for 2 years, and last year we had a little bit of trouble just with COVID. We were all pretty much on Zoom, so we couldn't really do a ton of hands-on work, but we are trying to kind of go back to our roots. We call it going back to the basics. So going back to our LeMoyne community, and we obviously have to vote with NCAA legislation and work with the NE10, but we really wanted to make it a more local thing and get involved with our own student athlete community. So we're trying to enhance our LeMoyne student athlete experience.
And how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a work in progress. I'd say we try to figure it out, and we're kind of navigating some uncharted territories, I would say, too. But last year we actually brought QPR training to our student athletes. So we focused on mental health a lot last year, given, in the wake of losing Caden Tubbert, which was really difficult for our whole community. We really tried to focus on that last year and see what we could do to make a difference in the lives of our student athletes. So we brought question, persuade, and refer training to LeMoyne on Zoom, but it was actually really successful. We had 100 student athletes on the call. So about a third of our department, a third to a quarter, is certified in QPR right now. So we're trying to get those numbers up in the spring and do it again this year. But a contact community service, an agency in Syracuse, basically did it on Zoom with us, and it was a suicide prevention training and a training on how to basically work on your mental health and the mental health of those around you. So we thought that was a really palpable way. We made a difference last year with this as a staff. We also did a food drive last year for CNY Food Bank in the spring. So we worked through some different community service projects. This fall we did the climb. We helped with the climb with on my team 16. So a bunch of our student athletes, my teammates and I actually were at a meet that day in Albany, but we kind of helped them prepare and collect, a list of student athletes who could go and volunteer that time. So the lacrosse team, the baseball team, and we had a SAC team help with the climb and help them prep for the event and then also climb and actually participate. So that was kind of our mark in the fall, and we're trying to have a couple more big events in the spring as we go forward here. But yeah.
So there's a lot of, let me see, it's a work in progress, but then there's all of these things that you've already done and accomplished. So the mental health aspect of it, whether you're a student athlete or not, whatever age you are, I think, for me personally, and I've told the story on the show over the years, is that, mental health was something that when I was growing up, people would tell you, you're weak, get over it.
Yep.
Everybody would always say, get over it. And I was the type of person, I was nice to everybody in school, so I got bullied a lot because I didn't fit anybody's little niche.
Right.
So I was always like, I'm nice to everybody, why would anybody be mad at me? And then you go into the professional world, and the more successful you are, and the more you try to do, and the more you kind of put yourself out there, you end up pissing those people off. And then if you make money or you get to try, then you piss those people. If you get to do what you love, people hate their job, then they hate you for that. So, between bullying and how social media is, and just the living life and going through relationships and not understanding things, mental health has become ever important to me. Throughout my entire life, it's always been important, but never have I lived in a world where we talk about it.
Yes, yeah, that's a great point.
So what can you say about the fact that some of us value our mental peace, and we're trying to, like myself, over the years, try and figure out how to get there, and now we're living in a world where we're actually having the discussion?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's so great that now it really is, like you said, becoming normal, and I think there still sometimes is a stigma associated with it, but I do think we're kind of getting over that hump as a society and getting through that stigma. So I do think it's a really positive thing overall. I think we've seen it a lot in sports as well. And we were fortunate this fall also to have Kate Fagan come in and speak. She wrote a book called What Made Maddie Run. And that was a really powerful talk that we listened to, and I was fortunate enough to read the book. I know a lot of student athletes also read the book, and we watched a little video clip on it. But I think talks like that and moments where you can really come together, especially as an athletic community, I think is really powerful. I think mental health is everywhere, whether or not you're a student athlete, and it's an ever important conversation to be had in, like you said, in all aspects of life, whether you're a business person, a family, whatever, running a family, anything of those, any person really is an important discussion to have mental health in the forefront of your mind. But I think in the athletic community, we've talked about some different aspects where there's a sports psychology component, and how can, working towards something your whole life, physically and mentally, it's a draining process, affect you down the line, or an positive movement that we're living in. And I think, like you said, it's huge that now it's becoming more normal. I think we still have a lot of work to do in that department, but I absolutely think, especially coming off of COVID too, I think the pandemic brought a whole new slew of difficulties for people to deal with and issues. So I think kind of keeping that in mind and knowing that everyone is in a different space than we were in before. I think there's like before COVID and after COVID, and it's hard to compare the two. And that's something we've talked about from a sports perspective here this year on our team, and I know other teams have as well, but also just as a person, like, how do you move on from being shut down basically for 2 years? I think it adds a whole new, layer to the mental health discussion. But I do think, like you said, it's very cool that we live in a world where it's normal.
I mean, the last 2 years have really helped us to, whether we like it or not, in kind of words of Michael Jackson, to have to look at the man or woman in the mirror.
Right.
And to try and to, it's forced us to be honest with ourselves. Who we are, where we are, what we want, what we need. I think if for nothing else, it was a giant reset button. I don't think God gives a pandemic. I think God is an opportunist. And I think what God did was he said, what are you going to do now?
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. He's an opportunist. I think we are all faced with this huge, colossal challenge that no one's ever seen before in our lifetimes. And, what do we do with that? I think it could bring out the best and the worst in people. I like to think that around here, the people we're surrounded with, I think it really did bring out the best in us. I know from an athletic standpoint, like our team, we downloaded the Strava workout app, which is kind of fun. So we had to find different ways to stay in shape and work out and compete with each other from home during COVID. But I think that was just a microcosm of how people came together as, people and Zoom together, like bridal shower Zooms and, different parties on Zoom, and how we had to kind of find each other again. But like you said, it forced us all to sit, kind of look in the mirror and be at home and learn to live with ourselves and how can we better ourselves. So it was kind of you're right, it was an opportunity to pause, which I don't think we really get often in our world today.
And I think the biggest thing now is we learned how to pause. Mm-hmm. Now we have to learn how to pause while we move.
Yes.
Which is like, don't forget that now that you've spent more time with your family, maybe you had dinner at home, maybe you called more people, maybe you FaceTime, maybe instead of texting you called. That all these things that we learned and all these tools that we have, and now that we get back to what we consider to be normal, that you don't forget that you hopefully improved your mental health.
Right.
I was a person that always kept going.
Yep.
Kept going. So this forcing me that there's no game to go to,
yep.
Stay at home. I had the opportunity to recharge, rebuild, rejuvenate, and kind of evolve myself. And I locked into a healthy mind, healthy body. Walking every day,
yep.
Talking to God more, having open line of communication, getting control of my mind, getting control of my body, getting control of what I wanted out of myself, not letting other people have that.
Right.
And so I changed my life in the last year and a half, and now that I'm back into the swing of things, it's about staying true to continuing to stay on that path and not forget, hey, I came all the way this far, but I don't want to go back now.
Absolutely. That's a great point, too. I listened to someone actually at the beginning of the year. I'm on the Student Government Association as well, and we had a meeting, and someone said this, which I thought was really powerful, but along those lines of continuing to pause while we move. They basically had said that human beings are meant to thrive and not to survive, and we all kind of were forced in a sense to just survive and get through this uncharted water that we were in during COVID for the last 2 years. So I think now that we're sort of back to full swing normal, how can we find that thriving again? Like you said, keep in mind what we've learned and not lose what we gained, because there's so many things trending in social media during COVID, but I think one of the most common things I saw was like, we'll never take for granted being at a game again, or being, in a big crowded place, or things like that, where that was kind of just trending all through COVID. I think keeping those things actually in the back of our minds and knowing that we had a life without that for a long time. So how do we continue to move forward while appreciating what we didn't have and really being reflective?
Yeah, and not all looking like we're delivering a baby. So, so with that being said, for Ellie Sommers here with us for the LeMoyne Dolphins women's swimming and diving team, and also for SAC and everything that you've done here, it's now time to jump into a final piece,
sure.
Which in Dolphin Dive and in my show in general on Wake Up Call, I like to call rapid fire.
Okay, I'm excited.
So we both get a couple questions apiece. I'm gonna, Luke a couple weeks ago had two, but that's okay because Luke and I have talked for like 6 years. So I'm gonna give, so sorry Luke, I'm gonna give you three, I'm gonna take three. Nothing to do with sports, just literally whatever we wanna talk about that comes to mind. I'm gonna ask you three, you're gonna ask me three, you get to start.
Okay. If you're on a deserted island, what's the food you're taking with you for the rest, unlimited amount of time?
Unlimited amount of time, what food am I taking with me?
Just one.
Probably now, because you can do so many things to it, and I love putting stuff on stuff, so I would take nachos.
Okay, well, I like that.
Because I could put chicken, I could put beef, I could put olives, I could put beans, I could put jalapenos, salsa, cheese,
okay.
Lettuce. So, and I like making homemade nachos, guacamole. So yeah, so I'm gonna take nachos.
Okay,
because I can mix it up every day. So
I like that.
Change it up.
That's great.
So I never said that before. So my first one for you, if you could go, okay, so because we couldn't go to like live events for a couple of years, what is the one live event, like a concert, game, whatever, Broadway show, whatever it may be, what's one thing that you're like, I have to go to this now? Like if I could go see anybody in concert or anybody live, this is what I want to do.
Okay, that's a great question. I've actually thought about this one before because my friends and I have talked about this. I'm a big country girl, so country music, love country.
Okay.
We were able to go, my friends and I have gone to a few, like this summer, and I've gone since COVID, which has been good, to different concerts, but I really want to see Luke Combs. And we were going to go the year that COVID, like the summer, basically, that COVID was in its peak. So definitely, I have not seen Luke Combs live, and I got to go see him, for sure.
I don't know what it is, and I'm a country fan, too.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the past 2 years, if I ask a woman of any age, who do you like in country, you all say Luke Combs.
Luke Combs.
Why Luke Combs?
That's a good question. I think it's his voice, like, great voice, great songs. I mean, the new album, What You See Is What You Get, really, I mean, that was really the highlight. I used to run, like, during COVID, I would go for more runs than something because obviously the pools were closed, so I would just run a lot, and I would, like, listen to him. I would mix up, like, I have some pep songs on my playlist, but I would put a couple slow songs in there, too, so I feel like he's got a good vibe. Like, sometimes if I was going on a long run, I'd just pop his album on and just listen to the whole thing as on a run. So I feel like it's just a mix of, like, fast and slow, good voice.
All right. Okay. I mean, he is good. He is, but I feel like during COVID, his popularity went up.
I know. I agree. I think it really did spike. I totally agree.
Yeah. So good for you, Luke. Making lemonade out of lemons. So what's your second one for me?
Oh, second one. Okay. Let me think. Nothing to do with sports.
Whatever you want to ask. I mean, typically you could go anywhere. So.
Okay. Well, are you college? Would you say college basketball or football? More in general.
You know, I played basketball growing up, and so I love basketball.
Okay.
But I feel like atmosphere and everything, I feel like I've become more of a college football.
Like if you're a fan in the States, you go football. Yeah.
Like I went to Cincinnati and had the opportunity, I'd never been there before. And I've covered the Bearcats for almost a decade. And I believe they deserve to be in the college football playoff, and they are. And coming up here very soon, just a few days after Christmas, they'll be playing in it, and I hope they win. So I got to go down to their stadium, Nippert Stadium, and I got to experience game day, and I was up in the press box and did the media stuff, but at the end of the game, as I told Luke, I literally walked to leave, and I just sat down, and I just sat in the empty stadium just in quiet, and it was like, I had such a great experience. I loved what the band did. I loved all the pregame stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just sat there. And I thought, how many people, like, you think about how many people have sat here, how many coaches have been here, how many players have played here, what is the history of this, like, you know, hallowed ground. And it was just cool for me to go to the field, to touch the field, to sit in the stands and just say, like, and I did. I looked at the guy and I said, you worked hard for this.
Yeah, that's
and I was
so
like,
cool.
you're here because God in you just every day, nobody saw it, you just did it. And to just be there and say, like, I got here because I worked to get here. And it just invigorated me to do a million other things. So.
That's so cool, yeah. And it's kind of like that quiet, like you said, there's so much energy and it's such a buzz, and then when it clears out and it's just you, it's crazy.
It makes you feel like you have, like, the VIP ticket to, like, that nobody gets.
Yeah.
Like, when you're talking with the coaches and you're talking with the players and then you're in the stadium and you can walk wherever you want, you have, like, free reign, you honestly feel like you have that VIP thing that as a little kid, you never knew, like, how you got it.
That's so cool, yeah.
And then you work for that, and then you have a badge on, and I look at that badge, and it's got my company name on it, and it has what I built.
Right.
And it has what came from me. It's not a company that somebody else owns. I own it. And I think that it means so much more to me to look at my badge and go, you're only here because you believed in yourself.
Yeah, that's so neat.
And so that, I don't really have enough words for that. It calms me. For someone who talks for a living, I go so silent in those moments.
Yeah, that's really neat.
So God's super awesome. But
yeah.
You already know that, God. So my second question for you is, since we're in the Christmas week, and you and I are both Catholic, love the big guy.
Yeah, we really do.
What's your favorite Christmas tradition?
That's a good question. Okay. There's some
growing up in snow country.
In snow country. Okay, well, so this is like, I don't know if this counts. It's very far from Christmas, but this kicks off our Christmas tradition in my family. So my little brother, my dad actually used to do this all the time, every year with my little brother, because he's super into hands-on, like handy. He's like a handy guy, so like handiwork. He's a carpenter kind of too, like he's a woodworker. So he's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool kid. He's a senior FM actually on the golf team. But anyways, so my little brother Jack and my dad used to do Christmas lights on our house, like like not crazy, but definitely you would drive up and down our street and you'd be like, okay, like they're a little crazy, you know, like like not super crazy, but a little crazy.
Yeah.
So, but since my dad passed, my little brother has made it bigger and better. That's like become his thing. So I'll give you a hint. If you ever drive by my house in Manlius, you'll know which one it is because it's crazy.
Okay.
So every Thanksgiving, my little brother works really hard on it. So might be the last year because he'll go to college next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how I don't know if he's gonna have time to put that in next year, but definitely he went big this year. So there's like arches over my driveway, like arches on the bottom of we have a big yard, so our whole house, it looks like it's decked the halls, like it's crazy. So on Thanksgiving we host it, and then my aunts and uncles and cousins are here, and we turn the lights on, like a tree lighting ceremony, and then they're on until January. My neighbors probably get really annoyed because it's very bright, and it's like connected to music too, like it's a show.
Yeah.
So it's like lights on the lake at my house, but that's like our big Christmas claim to fame.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. So Jack really went big.
Well, shout out to Jack and shout out to your dad's inspiration, Tom's inspiration. And that's so cool. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I used to work at Disney, and they did the Osborne type lights, and they did the 6 million lights.
Yep.
And they would put them up in August, and then not turn them on until closer to Christmas. And they would do it to music, and out of nowhere the lights would be on, and then you'd be walking, and then boom, it just hit, and then it just start going.
And they're moving with the music, yeah.
And people just stood there.
Yeah.
People literally just come to stand there. All these rides you can ride at Disney, and people would just look at the lights.
It's so cool, yeah.
So that's good. That's awesome. Shout out to your house. Now I want to go there. Now like,
You gotta drive by.
lights on, like, come on.
My brother, he was trying. I don't know how he does it. Like his brain is very creative, but I can't do the connections, like the wires, all of that. So he crushes it, but he does it all by himself. So it's pretty cool.
Shout out to Jack. Jack, my house needs some work. Can you please come over? Because I want to put the lights up, and I don't know how to get started. So
Yeah, I'll help you.
I need his help. So what's your final one for me?
Okay, final question. So with COVID, obviously traveling was limited, but what's the place in the U.S. that you really wanted to go to during COVID that you wish you could go to, that you still want to go to? Like vacation or weekend getaway?
I'd probably say now it's Hawaii.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Because I've gotten to talk to some kids that got recruited from there.
Yeah.
A friend of mine's the Navy head coach for football, Ken Niumatalolo's from Hawaii. And so I wanted like be on a beach, but I kind of wanted to experience Hawaii.
Right.
It's the last state to become a state. It doesn't like make sense why they chose us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll be a part of it. But and I was told that the islands are so different that there's like a culture that you don't have your family. Everyone is family on the island.
Yep.
And because everyone's family, there's a certain way that you treat people that they it's like they're in the United States, but they've kept who they are.
Yeah, that's a really cool
And I think that's cool. I want to experience that. I want to experience it because we could all do a better job in any one of these states in, treating a total stranger like they matter.
Right.
So I'd like to experience a roast, a luau,
Yep.
being on the beach at night, and one of my favorite movies is Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So.
Oh, love that. Okay, amen to that. Yeah, let's go to Hawaii.
So I want to
A girl,
experience it.
our team actually is from Hawaii, which is so cool.
She is.
She has connections on, so Molokai, I think she lived for a little bit, and then she also, I think, was on Maui, so couple different islands, but just hearing how they, like, grocery shop, and she's, like, on a plane going to an island just to get groceries, like, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of life, and like you said, they kept their own culture, for sure.
Yeah, so I want to experience their culture and their food.
Yeah, the food sounds amazing.
So my final one for you, let's go to movies.
Okay.
Since we're in Christmas week.
Yeah.
Top 3 Christmas movies of all time.
Oh, okay. I definitely have my favorite of all time, Christmas Vacation. So that's definitely.
When you said the lights, that's what.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. The cat scene always gets me. You usually laugh about that. So that's a favorite.
Okay.
Deck the Halls is a good one. Hard to find, but usually they make you pay for that one. But hopefully they'll stream that somehow.
Is that the one where they were fighting with the lights?
Across the street, yeah, that's a funny one.
Yeah.
And we always usually watch Christmas with the Cranks too. That's like a classic.
Which is also another great movie.
It's a good one. Like the tanning scene, the Botox, like that always gets me too. So it's a good one.
When he's trying to drink,
Yeah.
But I will say, and I know this is controversial, but I trust my people will defend me on this, and I trust that there's more of us than there are of them. Is when between A Christmas Story and Home Alone, to me, there's no contest.
Yeah.
It's Home Alone.
I agree. I forgot about Home Alone.
Home
That's
Alone
a
is the
classic.
best. And
Home
that's
Alone
what I
1,
want.
though, right? Rather than
I love them both.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll
different.
tell you that, like, after I watched the Cincinnati game, I went back to the hotel,
Yep.
leave Nippert Stadium, go back to my hotel, got in bed, watched the ACC championship between Pitt and Wake Forest,
Love
and then
it.
I watched Home Alone 2.
That's awesome.
And then I went to bed. And now, because they're both on Disney Plus, my dog Lily, she now watches Home Alone with me.
That's
So,
great.
I
That's
wanted
great.
my daughter to have the right stuff. So
Exactly. You
no
have-
Christmas Story.
Right. Only the best. Only the best. Come on.
Yeah. But I like that you mentioned Deck the Halls and Christmas with the Cranks, because those are all sneaky picks.
Yeah. Like, I think Christmas with the Cranks is underrated a little bit. Like, that's
And I didn't think I was going to like that movie. First time I kind of didn't. And now I will watch it back to back.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
No, like you gotta. We do that too. Like, if you watch, my sister and I watch Santa Baby, and then we would just watch them in a row. Like
The three
multiple-
Santa Claus, anything with Tim Allen.
Yeah, just so funny.
Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I'll do Santa Claus 4 with you, Tim. But there's those. There's Home Alone 1 and 2. There's Christmas with the Cranks, like you said. There's Deck the Halls. There's other ones. So I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of the old claymation Rudolph.
Okay, yep.
Rudolph and the Island and the Misfit Toys.
That's a tradition. You gotta watch like the old style.
That's very old.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think. There's other stuff that I watch, and I can't put my finger on them right now. Oh, Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Like
Love
that
it.
one. So there's
Miracle on 34th Street. I think truthfully I haven't watched that. And
It's a Wonderful Life is a good one.
Yeah. There's a few I'm gonna add this year to the list.
But I will watch Home Alone every day.
I love that.
Every single day.
Like it's a TV show. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just keep watching it. Like I've seen this a million times, and I have to like be eating something Christmas, or like I have to like
Yeah.
make a pumpkin pie so that I can eat it while I watch it.
Oh, exactly. No, that's great. I love that.
So
Yeah.
from us to you, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. And for Ellie Sommers and myself, Dan Tortora, this has been one of my favorites. Thanks,
Thank
Ellie.
you so much. It was
Appreciate
so
it.
fun. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
stay positive, people. If you need any help, come back and watch this. Or just come to LeMoyne and come see Ellie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk with you all soon.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every single time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market and download their app before you do so by going to the Google Play or Apple App Store and downloading Millhouse Market. There you'll have all of their homemade breads, desserts, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, salads, brick oven pizzas, and sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, the Millhouse Market is second to none and perfect for the Christmas and holiday season to go out there and get so much from their general store, including soaps, syrups, honeys, jewelry, clothing, and more, all made by companies within our fantastic Central and Upstate New York. Locally made products right there at the Millhouse Market, and indoor dining with their indoor restaurant, changing their menu every single weekend for the bistro to try something new every weekend with a specialty menu. And of course, their drive-up, drive-through window, grab your food and go. The Millhouse Market there for you on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every single time. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, we are going to end this video on Facebook and YouTube. Follow us over to our fantasy football video for those listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Nothing changes. And for all of you listening here and watching on Facebook and YouTube, we're going to jump into our fantasy football video, and we ask you to join us over there. We'll be with you momentarily with Mr. Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com.